Super Rugby Aotearoa, the round which is numbered 3, Blues. Home game up against the Highlanders, and thankfully, with the government announcement over here in New Zealand that we are down to level 1 here in Auckland, which is our lowest restriction level, means full crowd is allowed for this game, so the Eden Park should have a decent crowd. Interestingly, I remember the 2020 fixture, which is a game I visited or attended. The attendance against the Highlanders was not the best. Yeah, it was an interesting one because we had the opening game against the Hurricanes was literally a sellout, which for a Super Rugby game is unheard of in these parts. But we'd just come out of a really heavy lockdown during the earlier days of COVID, if you can call it that. And then it was kind of it fell off a cliff. Yeah, so it was a bit of a weird one, but hopefully this is the first game at Eden Park we get a decent crowd. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go to the game. I have family stuff to do, which is kind of rotten timing, but I will get to Eden Park at some point to see the old Blues in action, but hopefully they get a good result against the Highlanders if I can go 100% unbiased. The Highlanders are second. They've had 2 games and a pretty good win over the Chiefs in that last one, whereas the Blues have come off a bye, so they are 1-0. Perfect record thus far, but it's still pretty early days in the competition to really see where either team is at. In terms of the lineups, the Blues have picked it relatively stable. They've shifted the front row, so the guys who were on the bench last time get the start this time. So that's Tuina Kuafe and Tuanga Fasi are the props, and then you got Tolai, who was the reserve hooker last time. He gets a start. Tupulotu and Sam Derry actually are the locks. So I think it was Kauli Tuioti started last week. He's on the bench. So yeah, Sam Derry comes into the 23. The back row is still pretty good. It's the same back row as well. It's Kira Ioane, it's Dalton Papali'i, and it is Hoskins Satutu. So, I want to say one of the better back rows in Super Rugby Aotearoa, but which team doesn't have a good back row? Excuse me. Too much to drink last night. Not really. I did a live stream. You can go check it out. I wasn't intoxicated. I was pretty good. Ruru is the starting 9, which means Sam Knox down to the bench. And if that's one area where the Blues will maybe look at the Highlanders team and think, I wish we could pinch one of those guys, it's probably number 9. I mean, no disrespect to Jonathan Ruru or Sam Knock, but Aaron Smith and Falau Fakatava are probably a next level up, which is one area the Blues may look to recruit in future. Let's put it that way. Otere Black's been awesome at 10. He continues on. Plummer and Rico Ioane is the midfield. Caleb Clark and Mark Talea are the wingers, and Stephen Perofeta is there at fullback. So a couple of playmakers, a few playmakers actually, if you think Plummer, Perofeta, and Otere Black. So yeah. Interestingly, Plummer didn't get run over by Laumapi when they played the Hurricanes a couple of weeks ago, so I hope things are pretty stable for him in this one. But yeah, it's a largely stable Blues lineup, barring the front row shift. Eklund, Lay, and Laulala is the bench. So like I mentioned, the change, Kauli Tuioti, Robinson, Nock, Talea, that's Tanialu, Talea, and Narawa make out the rest of the bench. For the Highlanders, it's like I mentioned, they've still got Aaron Smith and Falau Fakatava. Those are 2 of your biggest names. Aaron Smith gets the start this week, and they may start doing what the Crusaders do with Bryn Hall and Mitch Drummond by rotating them, especially if they want to keep Fakatava, and because Aaron Smith signed on a new contract, he's going to be there for quite some time. But he is getting on, so maybe it'll do him good to not start every week and play like 70 minutes like he used to. De Groot, Coltman, and Tokolahi is the front row. I like to think the Blues should be able to get on top there. The Blues have got a pretty good scrum. I think their scrum success rate thus far is like 100%. The scrum stats are often a bit misleading, but they were better than the Highlanders, that's for sure. So that may be one area where the Blues look to turn the screws. Josh Dixon and Selby Rickett are the second row. Yeah, maybe I give that to the Blues as well with Tuipulotu there. He's certainly the biggest name of the 4 starting locks, but Josh Dixon's also pretty good, and Selby Rickett, remember, made that North-South squad at one point. Frizzell, Lynchus, and Hugh Retton are the back row, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. It's fascinating that Mikaeli Tu'u has dropped to the bench. and there's still no sign of Jimeno yet. There's no Squire for this one either. So the Highlanders have got strength and depth in the back row. So Renton, Lynchus and Frizzell is an interesting choice, but Frizzell and Akira Ioane going up against each other in terms of All Blacks places, a very fascinating one to watch. Aaron Smith, like I mentioned, Josh Ioane, that's the 19 combo. Tompkinson and Collins as the midfield. Collins returns to Eden Park, former Blues man. Was not the most popular guy. I think Rico will do him for pace, but maybe Collins will do him for positioning. Collins has played a bit more midfield, but remember, he was a fullback with the Blues as well. Nadek here is coming off an absolute barnstorming performance against the Chiefs. So Mark Talea is going to have to be very, very vigilant to make sure he's not getting done by Nadek here. Punivai is there as well, and Connor Garden-Bishop is at fullback this week. So, yeah, Mitch Hunt's on the bench. Harmon is on the bench. So, it's an extra forward on the bench for the Highlanders because they got Mikel Etu, Harmon, Bryn Evans, Thwaites, Honick, and Ash Dixon. Yeah. If it comes down to goal kicking, the Blues should have the edge. They kicked it 83% in their one game. The Highlanders are at 50% over the season, which is not the best. Both sides like a wee maul. Must be said, they're the two highest ranked teams. I mean, the sample size is still really low. But if you're looking at the maul numbers, both of these sides like to maul it more than anybody else in Super Rugby Aotearoa. Neither side has the greatest tackling percentage, to be fair. So maybe we should see a pretty exciting game of rugby. Let's hope so. Go the Blues. Hopefully it's a good crowd. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.